Welcome to Meet the Game Changers. I'm your host, Rev Kev, and this is a space where we celebrate everyday people doing extraordinary things to shape our world for the better. These are the stories that inspire us to dream bigger and act bolder. So let's get ready to welcome today's incredible game changing guest. Let's go.
This is Meet the Game Changers with Rev Kev, where we dive into the stories of people transforming our world one bold move at a time.
Every day, millions of us pick up our phones scrolling through highlight reels of perfect bodies, lavish lifestyles, and staged happiness. Today's guest, Reggie Rijkaard, founder of Pause for Peace, an organization that helps us reclaim our power, peace, and our presence. Reggie, as she is affectionately called, guides youth, parents, and educators toward healthy relationships with technology and with each other. And she is definitely a game changer. Welcome, Reggie, to Meet the Game Changers.
Hi, Rev Kev. How are you?
Hey, how you doing there?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about what brings us here today. You are the founder of Pause for Peace,
Correct.
which is dedicated to mindful digital citizenship. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and emotional well-being. So, for someone hearing about Pause for Peace for the first time, what exactly is Pause for Peace, and tell us why you felt the need to start it now. And while we're at it, let's define for us what is mindful digital citizenship. That's a
I'm
whole
gonna
bag of chips for you.
a lot of questions. Yes, I'm gonna start from the beginning. As a young girl in middle school and high school, I got teased really badly, and at some point, I got teased to the point that I wanted to take my own life, and it was a very traumatic experience for me. One thing that it did lead me to was my relationship with God because, if oftentimes if you have nowhere else to go, we find the one thing that is constant and forever, and that is God. So even though it led me on a spiritual journey very early, it was definitely trauma that stuck with me even throughout my adult years. And at some point, um, in my quiet conversations with God, God asked me, like, what would it have been like if you went through that experience wanting to take your own life because you couldn't really deal with the pressures of um, the experiences that you were having in middle school and high school? Like, what if you would add social media to that? What if that all your experiences were posted online? What if people could view it from all over the world when you were being pushed down the stairs or when that Coke bottle was being thrown at your face? Like, what if those moments were captured and posted online? And I had to be real with myself and realize that I would not have been here today. So within that conversation, I felt the nudge and the 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 inspiration to be in service to youth that are experiencing bullying, but on top of that, also cyberbullying, and all while the digital landscape gets to experience it as well. So that's really what inspired the work.
Mhm.
And when it comes to what I decided to, start, it's the Pause for Peace Foundation. The Pause for Peace Foundation has been around. Well, the Pause for Peace has been around for many years, but the foundation part has only been around for, the last year and a half, and the foundation part is what really focuses on mindful digital citizenship, and that is recognizing that our children are gonna have their phones, understanding that social media is gonna be around, it's ingrained within our society, and we won't be able to tell our youth that, you know what, your attention is so valuable, you probably shouldn't spend it on your phone the whole time because there are people that are making a lot of money off of it, but that is another conversation. So instead, I felt that it was important for us to, or for me and my team to teach mindfulness around picking up your phone, around scrolling on social media, around posting your life online. Like, how before you post, think. And that's what our work has been, and those are the curriculums that we've created.
Reggie, I want to acknowledge you for really doing what Wally Amos used to say, turn your lemons into lemonade.
Mm,
How mindful was it of you to recognize that you were experiencing trauma, you were experiencing bullying, and you thought, what might the kids from today be uh, going through if
mm,
they were to have those experiences that are often their most embarrassing moments, most embarrassing versions of themselves
mhm,
blasted into social media. And I
mhm.
know teens who have experienced cyberbullying.
59% of the US teens, have experienced cyberbullying, and, 30% of those are consider 13% of those consider have suicidal thoughts.
Wow.
So it's, and I'm speaking of teens between the ages of 13 to 17 alone, like, that's a very small pocket to have statistics on. I think there's also another layer to that, however. I think that I like I said, that bullying led me to finding or to building a relationship with God. I've always known God, but I think it led me at a very young age to building a relationship with God, which led me to agape with Reverend Michael Beckwith at a very young age. And so I had community at a very young age that spoke of love, that spoke of oneness, that spoke of the fact that people only treat you the way they feel about themselves, right? Like, at a young age, I was in community that made me realize that I wasn't the only one that was sensitive and compassionate, and I think, ooh, I'm dating myself back, but 20 something years ago, those weren't really conversations that we were having with our youth, right? That your mental health mattered, or that your emotional state, even though you're a young child, that it deserves to be listened to. So I was very, very fortunate to have had community, but I also understand that many people and many young people don't and didn't.
And
So,
so that's a huge and important bridge that
mhm,
you cross into your work. You've managed to bring the best of your experiences in spiritual communities, the best of what you've learned about positive self-image, the
mm.
best of what you've learned about self-love, and you've kind of done what I call sneaking the spinach into the ice cream. Because what I'm getting is that it's less about the technology, but
Mm.
what the technology is allowing us to have conversations about with youth. Is that what I'm getting?
Or in today's world, we have to meet them where they are at, and where they are is on their phones. And so, yeah, I had to really sit with I had to really sit with God. And when I and, you know, and I know that I don't have to, um, describe what God means, probably on this podcast, but I still will, because I still wanna share what it means to me, and for me, it's a presence that is never an absence. And so when I spoke to this presence that is never an absence and that moves through everyone and everything, um, it really, gave me an inspiration to blend it all together. All of the knowledge that I learned from Agape, all of the teachings and the readings and the practices, in combination with all of the experiences that I had as a young, 13, 14-year-old girl, I felt that that was the best combination of both worlds.
And so how does that practically look? You brought into classrooms? Are you teaching seminars and workshops? What if you could help us to see what is going on and how people get to have the pause for peace encounter. Give us a
Yeah,
glimpse into that.
I think when I was younger, I would always say, "I'll never forget what it's like to be a teen when I'm an adult." Like, I really used to always say that, "I'm never gonna forget it because adults don't understand." And honestly, adults often do not understand. And so I am also, as I am getting older and maturing, I am still, like, holding on to, "Don't forget, don't forget, don't forget," while I'm in front of teenagers. And so what it looks like is I have 3 programs. One is called I Am More Than Social Media, and it's really about teaching youth about staying safe online, about trusting their instinct when it comes to their online activities. It's about identifying a responsible adult when you feel like you're in danger to at least know who you would want to go to discuss what you feeling and what is happening online. But also, like, what is your identity? You know, you have your online identity versus your in real life identity, and how does that link up? Are you being authentic and true? And then the most important part when it comes to the mindfulness is the kindness, right? The digital world is real to many. It's at times when I listen to our youth, it is more real than the in real life interactions that we're having. So, how do you show up for your community online? What are the things that you engage in that screams positivity or negativity? Are you the bully or are you being bullied? And either or, let's have the conversation, because both beings need love. So that is really the I am more than social media. I go to parks, I go to youth centers. I can teach it in 6 weeks for an hour and a half a day, once a week, or I do it just in like a 2-hour workshop. I break it down in however the community needs it. And then I have another workshop that I'm really excited about, and it's called I Am More Than My Story. And it's teaching youth, of course, the safety part. That is the most important part. But we've elaborated on by adding digital entrepreneurship. So, really teaching youth not only how to be safe, but also like how do you use that phone in your pocket in a way that can uplift yourself and your community by telling your story, by creating a brand, by creating, by learning how to market yourself, by learning how to market a product. Just so really the entrepreneurial side of social media and taking them from A to Z. And at the end of the process, they have a full brand and product that they are promoting online.
And I'm excited about it because a whole new world, right, has opened up in terms of
Yes.
what a person can do
Yes.
and be in a career. Wait a minute, Reggie. Let me back up. You know what my kids and employees, sometimes say to me when I talk to them, and I'm talking to them about things from so-called my day. They
Uh-huh.
say, "Oh, you mean in the 1900s?"
You're not wrong.
Say, back in the 1900s,
Right. Yes.
back
Yeah.
in the 1900s, when you ask a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? It was a doctor, a lawyer, or, a
Mhm.
minister, or whatever this. But now we have a whole new category and classification
Mhm.
um, through this digital world, this digital language. So we're talking about being content creators and
Yeah.
influencers, and
Yes.
we're talking about being brands. And what I'm finding, and this is so very normalized, and so it's not digital media and social media is not all bad if we can find a way to
Exactly.
provide constructive
Yeah.
means through which our youth can thrive. And
Yeah.
so and you're taking this into places like Watts,
I
you
am.
know,
I
where
am.
there may be limited opportunities.
Yeah, and that's why it's so powerful. It doesn't come, without, it's a journey, right, that it's unfolding right before my eyes. I'm a very young organization. I'm receiving support from organizations like Ready to Rise and Young Futures and the Liberty Hill Foundation, and, I do have amazing support, um, LA CADA, the Office of Violent Prevention. Like I have amazing support and amazing funders, but it is a program that I wrote down on paper, a curriculum that I wrote down on paper, and now am bringing into the real world. And so what I'm learning is that it is the kids that have to built this program with me. It's the kids that have to build this, digital citizenship curriculum with me because they know what they need. So the last few weeks, that's what we've done. We've asked them, like, what is it that you really want to learn when it comes to mindful digital citizenship? What is it? How is it that Pause for Peace can best support you when it comes to mindful choices online? And across the board, it was, I wanna learn how to make money. And these are 12, 13-year-olds, 15, 17-year-olds. They just wanna learn how to be productive online. So we had to hear that, and we had to adjust our curriculum, and this is what it got adjusted to. Um, yes, for people there are youth that are making millions and millions and millions of dollars online, and oftentimes, I'm not saying all the time, oftentimes youth are realizing that bad behavior, funds their likes and their views. So, what I'm seeking to do, my team and I, we are seeking to really inspire the mindfulness around it because at the end of the day, positivity does win. At times, it doesn't look like it, but that is what we are trying to inspire within our children, and also tell them, you know, there are many underdeveloped neighborhoods in the world, right? I don't know what you consider an underdeveloped neighborhood in Ireland. I don't know what you consider an underdeveloped neighborhood in Venezuela. I don't know the name of it. But what I do know is that everyone knows Compton and everyone knows Watts all over the world, right? And so these kids have powerful stories to tell in online for the world to listen to because the world is interested in Compton, the world is interested in Watts. And so really letting them know that they are powerful and that they have powerful voices and that the world is interested in hearing what they have to say and what their life is like that is like that's what I do.
Reggie, let's back up a little bit because this is so important. I think it's worth resting on the point a little bit and opening this up. You mentioned earlier about how young people are monetizing their lives doing very negative and sometimes dangerous things,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Um, Talk to us a little bit about what some of those things are. Let's slow the conversation down because I want parents and adults, loving adults who are in their lives to be able to identify some of these things so that they can see the value of what you are offering and the value of mindfulness for those who want to go in that direction, but maybe have some different kind of content. Say more about what are some of the things we need to watch for.
Well, I think we have to go take a step back for it to have that conversation. And I think part of that is being around the kids. You can be with the kids, inspire the kids, and motivate the kids to be mindful online. But the truth is when they go home, they also are in front of their parents. And what I'm learning is that a lot of what kids do, they learn from their parents. So before we even can get to what are the kids doing, we as adults should also start having the conversation, how do I as a parent show up online? What are some of my behaviors that I am not aware of that I'm constantly, into in front of my child or children? Because at the end of the day, our the parents are they are at the forefront of what children should and shouldn't be doing. So I also one, I help parents identify narrow by behavior, and then the second part of that is helping them create a safe space to communicate with their children. Because I think a lot of times kids experience things online and then they have nowhere to go because they're one too ashamed or embarrassed or they feel that they're gonna be in trouble before, any if they say anything. So as a parent, it's really important that you create a safe space, especially because it's one of the few things that parents in today's day age have to parent about without having had the experience as a teen or a young person within their own life, right? Because often parenting goes by what you've experienced yourself.
Right. Right. Right.
One of the few things that you as a parent have not experienced, and now you are being asked to parent around it. So the only real solution in that is being a safe space. Like I cannot like hammer on that enough. Please just be a safe space. And what does a safe space mean? Listen without judgment. Just provide a space without judgment. Set aside an hour a week to have conversations about it. There are things that you can learn online. There are tools that you can learn online that you can learn together with your children. Show them that you are interested in being mindful about it, and be transparent and let them know that you don't have enough information oftentimes to parent them in it and that you need their support. So that's really one thing. Go ahead.
That's so huge. Just so that you know, if you're just joining us, you're watching and listening to Meet the Game Changers. I'm your host, Rev Kev, and we are so thrilled to have the founder of Pause for Peace, Reggie Rijkaard, who is helping us to have a better understanding of how we can be more mindful in our use of technology, but particularly how she has strategized ways and for making um, young people's access and use of technology more productive, safer, and healthier. Please like, share, and subscribe to this platform. Our intent is to always bring you innovative and creative game changers that are doing extraordinary things to make our world better. And Reggie is definitely up to it. I'm grateful that we're slowing down because that is a thing we're really having an intergenerational kind of
Mhm.
engagement with technology now. And yes, there's worlds that we are not from. Remember, back in the 1900s, outside was its own reward. If you
Yeah,
said to a kid, go outside, like,
yeah,
yay, that's a
exactly.
dream.
Yeah,
Now it's, how much screen time are we
yeah.
measuring and consuming on a weekly basis? And so, yeah, parents have that moment of shock and awe, right? When, like for instance, in my role, I get information all the time about ways kids are showing up in social media. And it can be disturbing, whether someone is exposing their bodies, whether someone is, using profanity, whether someone too early is exposing themselves to pornography. And now there are things in social media that kids are able to see that we had to wait years to before we could be exposed to, right? And they can be very damaging. And you're right. Um, Parents
There you go. Go
learn how
ahead,
to
Rev.
dial it back because this is
Go
not the
ahead.
because I said so generation, right? What do you say, Reggie?
Because I see your face as you're making the statement, like, I know it's really a tough pill to swallow, but as parents, you guys have a responsibility, and it's really hard to have to accept and embrace. But the truth also is, and I will say kudos to all the parents that I've been around. Every time I go into a place, with youth, at the end of the workshop, at the end of the seminar, there are many, many parents that come to me and say, "Hey, thank you so much. I never even thought about the things that you've communicated. Do you have anything, a workshop or a program for parents?" I came across that request so much that I had to create something for parents. And so I'm rolling out, at some point this year, I want to say in July, I'm rolling out a mindful parenting in a digital age webinar. It's a free 1 hour webinar where really I just want to build community for parents to be able to come and express themselves and share what it is that they're going through, and also share with me the tools that they're looking for in order for them to create a safer online experience for not only their their youth, but also themselves. So, that's a real conversation when it comes to guiding our children, because the truth is cyberbullying, as intense and as heartbreaking as some of those stories are, um, there are a lot of other things that are happening online
Yeah.
that we often don't talk about.
Yeah. It's so important. Let's see what's happening in the chat room. You got a little live chat going on over here. Folks are picking up what you're putting down, Reggie.
Uh-oh.
So William Will Hug says outside was its own reward. So true. We all
Mhm.
need balance with digital versus physical environments. Yes. And then James Hines says, be careful. Too much digitizing could cause complacency and losing touch with reality. Then Will said again, yep, outside was its own reward. Each generation can have better balance between physical and digital worlds. Thank you both. So this is really an important subject to all the generations. You know,
Yeah,
it's not just to the. I found out that the average person makes contact with their cell phones in a day about 2,000 times. Touches the physical thing. Can you imagine? Touches the physical cell phone 2,000 times. So we, in as much as we can, get in our righteousness with kids about, screen
you
time and ways of being online. You're right. We've got to check in and see, well, what are we doing with it? How are
and
we about
I don't want to I wanna be clear.
it?
Technology has been such a great influence in my life. You know, because I've been very mindful around it, I feel like it has uplifted my life in many ways. And I also wanna be clear that kids are gonna use it. We can't get them off of it. So our only job at the Pause for Peace Foundation is to find ways to help them just be more mindful about it. And we will go to the end of the earth to develop tools, to find tools, and practices to help youth, family, and educators do that. But I'm not against technology. I just in real life experience how it influences our youth, how it influences how educators feel the freedom or the restriction to teach, or the restraints to teach. In real life, I see how parents feel disconnected from their children because of it. So I just have real life experiences, and therefore I have to not only speak of the good, but I also have to share the things that I'm seeing that are on the not so good side.
Yeah, no, and we need that. We need you to be that liaison for us. We
Mm,
need you to be in that world, but not of that world.
right.
We need that. Khalil Gibran is known for his piece on children. He says, "Your children, our children are not our children. They're the sons and daughters of life longing for itself. They come to us through us, but they are not from us. And so
Mhm,
they're yeah, and so there's this thing in which there's a part of their world that we won't fully ever get to enter.
mhm,
So when we have agents like you who has kind of the best of both worlds and access to those worlds, we count on what we can learn from you in order to be better parents and be better guides in our lives. And one of the things that I'm really recording for myself is be a safe space.
mhm,
Be a safe space.
mhm,
Um, there are many stories that I'm sure you could call to the forefront of your consciousness about how your work is impacting lives. What
mhm,
what do you, can you recount an instance or a story or moment where you're doing this work and you see that you have made a difference? Anybody come to mind?
Um, don't make me cry, but yes, or at least tear up. There are a few I really love based upon like the programs that I was running, but I think one that really let me see the first one that I'll never forget because I knew I was doing something right in that moment. Um, I remember doing a both parent webinar, parent workshop and a youth workshop. And it was in the same room, and we would separate them at times and then bring them together to have certain conversations and dialogues. And it was a 3 week program. And I remembered at the end of our workshop, one of the parents came up to me and she said, Reggie, we implemented screen time because he was on his phone. And this was maybe like I wanna say 9 or 10-year-old boy. He was a little younger than the kids that we usually work with. And she said, "We implemented screen time, and last night he came up to me and he hugged me and he kissed me and he said, 'Thank you so much for giving me screen time.'" And she was like, "In that moment, I realized that he needed the guidance. He needed me to tell him not to be on his phone. He needed me to tell him not to go on the iPad." And I thought that that was really powerful because as parents, we just because they're quiet behind their phones, behind their screens, doesn't mean that they feel productive or that they feel in alignment with their highest being in the moment, right? It doesn't mean that they feel that they are really truly tapped into their divinity while they're scrolling and watching and doing. So, the fact that after, you know, the workshop, the child went up to the parent thanking her for the screen time, I think that that was really powerful.
That is, I think, every parent's dream, right? For a child. And in my world, I look for that to happen, 20 years from now when my kid is, way far along the journey.
Mhm.
But to be able to get a child to say, "Thanks for providing some structure. Thanks
Yes.
for providing me with some boundaries.
Yeah.
Even though I give you a hard time, about
Mhm.
uh, challenging me in my use of technology." I think this is important for parents because it's so important. And this is my little Rev Kev commentary on this.
Oh.
We struggle as parents to be liked, to be
Mhm.
accepted, to be cooled, and sometimes with our kids. And sometimes we go too far seeking their approval, trying to be their friend when they still need us to be their guides and to be uh, a set the balance for them at certain stages. And so,
Mhm.
um, what can you say to parents who go too far, in their efforts to be a safe space by relaxing boundaries too much, by relaxing, by having a completely hands-off approach, when it comes I'm just going to let her do what she does as long as we can talk, you
Well,
say.
I think that everything is about the intention that we do, right? So, what I would love, and please, parents, please work with me. Please work with me when I say this. I would love for parents to identify why they are allowing their children to be on their iPads or phones the whole day or right after school or all throughout the night. Or I think that once we as parents are honest about the why it's okay or why we allow it or why we're not saying anything about it, then we can have a real conversation. And I'm saying this so gently because one, I'm not a parent, so I don't know the pressures And I don't know the pressures of a parent. I don't know what it's like to work all day and then have to go home and then having to pick up your child and then coming home and then having to clean the house and then, and then having to cook and then having to make sure they're safe online and making sure that their bed is made. Like, I don't know what that is like. When I come home after a long day, when my dog makes too much noise, I can feel a level of irritation because I just need peace, right? And that's my dog that I love very much. So again, I don't know what it's like. But what I will say, what I've seen and what I've witnessed is that I would love to for parents just to ask themselves, why are we comfortable with our children being online in front of their phones, behind the computer and behind the iPads all day? And I think once we are comfortable asking ourselves that question, then we can have real conversation about what is happening. And then we can have real conversation about what we can implement outside of the phone, the iPad, and the video games. But until then, honestly, I don't necessarily feel like I can have that conversation.
I just want to acknowledge you for laying that gently at the feet of parents for our consideration, right?
Mm,
Because that is also, again, something that we get to self examine about, right? And you named several of the reasons that may be so, but there are some reasons that might also be socioeconomic. So, for
mhm,
instance, in some of the communities that you're working in,
mhm,
if parents have limited resources and time,
mhm,
maybe they don't have resources for childcare. And
mhm,
some are using technology to substitute
mhm.
for the resources that they don't have. Does this make sense? And
Absolutely,
so thinking in
absolutely,
terms of how we can even support those parents with limited resources who do
absolutely,
have to sometimes work 2 and 3 and
absolutely,
4, you know what I mean?
absolutely.
In order to make things
And
easy.
that's where mindfulness comes in,
Mhm.
right? That's where the I know I can get you off this iPad, but what are 3 to 5 things that you've done today online that expresses your kind, mindful digital citizenship, right? We have a citizenship online, and just like any other citizenship in the world, we have societal, like, norms. So if that is the case, which I understand many people go through, and I'm I've seen a lot, and, it's sad that in 2025, there are still certain living conditions, but we won't go there now. If that is the case, let's speak of the mindfulness. Let's speak of the kindness. Let's speak of the fact that you do have a device where you can spread love and where you can spread compassion and where you can really connect with like-minded beings, where you can connect with people that have the same interests as you, where you can connect with people that may teach you something that you are interested in, right? So I am not it's the reason why I say it so carefully, because I know that every household has its own dynamic. But if it is true that we don't have another outlet or a opportunity to engage our children, then let's just focus on how kind and how compassionate and how helpful and how mindful are you being online? Because the truth is, when I sit in a room full of kids, they speak of um, all the negative ways that they are engaging and not necessarily the positive ways.
Wow. I'm really curious. We're running out of time, but I'm really curious as to, well, what are they telling you? I mean, what is a negative way in which they're? And
Well,
I don't want you to give me a platitude. I want you to give me a concrete. Like, what is a
Well,
negative
I
voice?
am, like you said, I'm the liaison. I can't, the kids have to continue to trust me. That's one.
I mean, but
I'm
I
just
mean, but
no,
I
I'm
didn't want
just
you to tell me
playing.
that Scotty.
No, I'm just playing.
You
I'm
have to
just
break
playing. No, no,
confidentiality.
no, I'm just playing.
But
Um,
give me
you
a
have to
some.
remain cool, Ref Kev. Like I gotta remain cool. No, no, no. But one thing I learned is
Yeah.
that they use their DMs, they use their DMs to form groups that then and then they jump someone into the DM group, right? So imagine there are like, 20 kids in a group chat, and then they decide that they don't like Jessica, and then they add Jessica to the group chat, and then that everyone in the group chat tells Jessica that they don't like her, or
Wow.
she's not pretty, or that she is not this, or that she is not that, and that they're gonna beat her up when they see her. And then so you're literally being jumped inside a group chat that you never asked to be part of, but
Wow.
they organized it in a way that you keep getting added back into the group chat, you keep getting the notifications, you keep being like bullied by 20 people within your school or so that's like one thing that happens often. And when I saw the damage that it did, it really broke my heart. Just DMing instead of jumping people in real life, now we're jumping them in DMs. um Another thing that, I spoke to a parent about was the fact that, and this was an influential parent, and his son was 14 years old, and he met a girl online. And I think that that is another thing when it comes to online behavior. I think that we are so focused on girls not being, being pulled in, but a lot of the boys are also being pulled in. So even if you have boys are not safe. Like, there are predators that are just going after our boys. But long story short, the boy met a girl online. He fell in love. She encouraged him to send some pictures of him that were supposed to stay private. And as soon as he sent them, he realized that he was speaking to a adult from a whole nother country that was really just trying to um yeah, that was really just trying to get to his dad. So basically, they wanted $10,000 they wanted $10,000 within a few hours just so that those pictures wouldn't be posted online. And because of the prominence of the family, it was a real big deal. And that 10,000, and the parent had to then decide if that $10,000 was gonna get paid or not. So it's, children just as a child, you may feel it in your gut, and that is what Pause for Peace teaches them, is to really, like, as you scroll, as you communicate, as you play those games, like, what is your gut telling you? Because if we listen to the stories, there's always something prior to the thing that is happening that they identify, but then it's too late, right? So our job is, please, 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 if you never thought about your gut feeling before, if you never heard the word intuition before, which oftentimes they have, like, how can we clarify what that looks like for you in your life, and how and who do we identify in your life today that you can feel safe and free to go to when you're having that feeling and you need a check-in without being judged.
Wow. Just had the biggest aha. Your stock just raised 10 billion% in terms of what the game change is. You are awakening young people to really be mindful of not only the use that they're having in technology, but what's happening inside of their beings as they're
Mhm,
engaging. So you're teaching them how to be able to rely on that their own internal voice, be able to trust their intuition, and to be able to respond accordingly in healthy and constructive ways. Whew, this takes mindful digital citizenship to a whole other level. just related to that, and but I'm looking in the chat room and I see uh, reactions like, "Wow, that it just is shot. It's shocking." Somebody being extorted through their child, right? It's
Mhm,
shocking to get these reactions
mhm.
and to know that this world is happening. But who we are teaching our children to be can prevent that. And that's what your program is doing. And that is so game changing. And might I say, it makes you a spiritual badass. Something I wouldn't say in church.
Thank God you
So
wouldn't.
I'm getting facts. Zuelo, am I saying that correct? Uh, Zulu, um, the bandit. I can barely see, but I'm getting amens over there for you, Reggie.
Thank you. Thank you.
On this point, this is so key. This was worth its weight in gold. Derek says, "What an eye-opening topic." I think a lot of people are going to be, um, so enriched by this conversation because it's not the way we've been looking at it, and it's really going to shift parents and caregivers and guides in the ways in which we engage with our young people. Yesterday I was with my daughter's daughter and one of her friends, and I took them on a little. They wanted to go skating, so I took them skating, and I was listening to some of their slang, right?
Mm.
And you know how we would say, we say, you're just getting on my nerves, right? Well, they were saying this, that song that he played was just all up in my neural pathways, and it just
Oh
all
God. So bad. Yes, yes.
right, like in my neural pathway. So they take it to a whole other level. So
Yep.
you're helping us to translate, right, that the world that they're living in, and to support them and provide tools that they need. So in your ideal case scenario, in the work that Pause for Peace is doing, what is the world looking like as a result of Pause for Peace and the footprint that you make?
I know everyone has a mission and a vision, but as you're asking me that, I'm just like, "Okay, like, what is that?" Um, One, I wanna put myself out of business, right? Like, I hope that I do my job and my team does their job so well that within 10 years, Pause for Peace no longer need to exist because everybody understands the power that the phone has over our lives. Like you mentioned, we touch it, we pick it up at least 2,000 times, and not just the phone, but all of our digital devices. But I think what I really want to leave the world with is just that it's just the community and the connection part. Yes, we should learn to connect through the World Wide Web, but don't forget the people that are sitting right next to you
Mm,
and for you, right? I think that if I can influence a world that finds in real life connections more important than online connections, then I think I've done my job. Uh,
wow.
Connect with your children. They are dying to be hugged, to be seen, to be heard. Every time you look on your phone and you're scrolling, every time you take 2 hours to email everyone back, every time they are speaking to you and you are on Facebook, like, you're taking a little bit of love and light away from them. So as parents, I would really encourage you to just check in with yourself before you ask your child to stop talking or to give you a minute because you're looking at something on YouTube. Like, really be mindful and realize that every time you deny them attention when you're on your phone, you're telling them that your phone is more important than they are, and I know 100% that that is not the truth of the situation. So,
Yeah.
kids should
This is
just
so important. Our producer sends a comment. The problem is if they don't learn now as children, they will grow into digitally addicted adults, increasing the human and interpersonal divide.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
What a powerful vision. And I have to say that I'm practicing that, when my kids are in the car with me, I have a rule, we're not on the phone.
Mhm,
If I'm
mhm,
taking you to school or wherever, we're not none of us, including me, I'm not taking any calls. And it's if just all we're doing in the car is breathing together for the five,
mhm.
10 minutes that we're
Uh-huh.
rolling, and
Yep,
we're just breathing, coexisting. I feel your presence in the car. And if
absolutely.
and it was a little bit of a struggle at first because, it was looked upon as me in some way being in attacking their use of the phone or their
Mhm,
desire. No, but these are irreplaceable moments of our lives
mhm,
together. So what began to happen? We started learning each other's music tastes and
mhm,
likes and all of that, and we started to, you know, uh, share things in common, and I'm noticing that we're having more conversation about their lives, and so I think it's so important. And I think it's also as one of the comments a comment that just came in from Mel, points out that this will alleviate also
mhm,
some of the things that we talked about at the top of the show.
mhm,
Our belief that what people show us in social media is real, is
mhm,
substantive, is
mhm.
their real reality, when underneath it, there can be that loneliness and that cravingness for human connection.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanna acknowledge how important your vision for the world is, a more connected world where we're conscious of one another. By the way, quick recap, if you're just joining us, and hold that thought, if you're just joining us, you're watching and listening to Meet the Game Changers. I'm your host, Rev Kev, and we want you to like, subscribe, and share, and help us to get the word out about some of the most incredible everyday people doing extraordinary things to shape our world for the better with innovative and creative approaches that, and in today's case, like Reggie, that brings mindfulness to the work that she is all about. Reggie, you're giving us life and oxygen. Let me get to the comments. We got some comments going on here. AI generated images of anything you can imagine. What if any regulated safeguard protects us, the people, from exploitation of their image and likeness? Okay. May want to put a pin in that one. Um, and then I'm going to take that video. Can you say more about that, E&M? I'm going to take that video. I'm not sure what that means. But we'd appreciate you elaborating on that a little bit. But so now we got AI, right? We've
Right.
got AI. How are you helping um, this generation adapt to and work with AI in constructive ways? And like the question was, are there safeguards in place for it?
That is such a good and great question. I must say I've been around for a year and a half, and the first, I wanna say 8 to 9 months, I had to when it came to sharing my vision with funders and donors, like, I had to really tell them, like, "Social media, social media, social media." And as I was trying to, um educate people on the implications of social media on mental health in our youth, AI came into play. And I realized that as people were understanding my point on social media, I was rolling into a whole new world of AI that we now have to um, educate our children about. So, one, I want to start with mindfulness. I had a conversation with someone that was interested in funding our organization, and the question was, because of the ever evolving digital landscape, like, how are you planning to keep up in teaching our children what is happening online? And my answer was mindfulness. No, like, if I can teach a child how to love themselves, if I can teach a child how to self-regulate, if I can teach a child how to be mindful as they're scrolling and how to be aware of their divinity, then no matter what the world around them is doing, that will always remain in place, because that is what I learned even going to a community such as Agape.
Mm.
I learned to love myself. I learned how to see my oneness in all. I was taught all these things. So no matter what the world around me was doing, there was a balance, there was a connection that never died, and until this day. So that is my number one thing. The digital landscape will shift and change beyond my comprehension, but as long as we teach them self-awareness, self-love, self-respect, I am 100% sure that we are doing the right thing.
So
Sure.
we've got seconds left in
I'm
this
sorry.
incredible. See, I got you rolling. I got
Sorry.
you rolling. You're
Yeah.
rolling. That means that means there's room for a part two. So I think what you just helped us to define really is what you would call mindfulness.
Mhm.
Is this when you're talking about self-respect, self-love,
Mhm.
awareness of one's own inner voice and
Mhm.
connected to that? Is this
Mhm.
what you're meaning by mindfulness when you're
Yes.
using that term?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what we mean at the Pause for Peace Foundation with mindfulness. And our job is to just work with the best. I just sat with a lady, and I know we only have seconds, but I do want to say this. I just sat with a lady who was invited to speak to the Vatican about AI and the implications of youth mental health. I just sat with a lady who was invited to Bezos Foundation to speak on AI and youth mental health. So I am in rooms with people that are doing the research and that love sharing it, because we are one of the few that are focused on it. So it's about collaboration, meeting people that are just as passionate, and sharing their research, and inspiring our work through that.
Reggie, big help. You've been a huge help to us today. I'm just going to get one question out of you, and this will be your last question for today. E&M in the chat says, "What's the best app um, for parents to put on kids' phones? I believe I'm struggling to make sure I know everything she's doing." Danielle Lopez says, "I wish I jumped in sooner. This is a great conversation. Look forward to part two."
Well,
Uh, Danielle, we want you to come back for go back and listen to this and watch
what
this
we
whole
can do, Rev,
episode.
is we can
But
do
what's that app?
what we can do, Ref Kev, is we can do a part 2, and
Okay,
we can talk about the tools that parents can utilize. We can do a
okay,
whole conversation around it,
okay,
and it'll give them a chance to, log back in,
okay.
part of community.
Reggie, we're so grateful. Thank you so much for being on our program today. Tell us how we can find you in social media.
Woo! Well, again, thank you so much for having me, Rev. You've been one of my greatest supporters for many, many years. I know we only have a few seconds, but I do have to give you your flowers. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for supporting me. And I'm only I'm always gonna get emotional, because there's something to say about community, and you have been part of my extraordinary community. There have been moments in my life where I didn't know what to do with all of the feelings and emotions, and things that I was thinking. And you definitely have been part of me, being able to kind of know that I have purpose. So thank you for the work that you do in the world. If people want to find me, please go to pause, PAUSE, number 4 peace.org. And on Instagram, I'm pause for peace.org. And yeah, that's where you can find me. PAUSE, number 4 peace, PEACE.org. And donate. We need the support. We need the support. Please donate, donate, donate. I promise you, the dollars are going to the right people in the right places.
Thank you so much. Thanks again, Reggie. You are awesome, and I feel honored to be a part of your journey.
Thank you for having me, and I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being who you are on the planet.
We'll have a part two.
Okay.
We've all been there, scrolling through someone else's phone, sitting through vacation, sitting at the same spot for hours, liking posts from people we don't even talk to, comparing ourselves to filtered highlights and wondering why our real life feels a bit off. But what if the real glow up starts when we log off? What if peace starts when you put your phone down? So before you dive back into the scroll, pause, breathe, and reconnect with the real world. Thank you for watching Meet the Game Changers. Now you go out there and mindfully change the game. See you next time.
This is Meet the Game Changers with Rev Kev, where we dive into the stories of people transforming our world one bold move at a time.